Welcome to the garage. I'm Chris. My friends call me the Candyman, and you already know what time it is. Tonight, we're drafting best ball teams and an extra special guest on the show. We've got Mike from Mike's Money Picks. We're going to be drafting some best ball manias, getting into it, talking ball. Really looking forward to this one. And if you're new to the channel, if you're watching this in the future, make sure you're subscribed. I've got a 500 subscriber goal that I'm trying to hit before the start of the NFL season. And we're getting pretty close, but I need your help. So come get in here, say what up in the chat, be a part of the community. We're talking best ball and fantasy football strategy all summer long. And it's starting to heat up. Best ball summer. It's getting hot out there. It's getting hot in these best ball streets. The training camps have started. There's a lot of good stuff going on. So let's get right into it and bring on Mike after the intro. But overall, it's like the guy can ball. Like actions speak louder than words. What up, Mike?
What is up? Happy to be on with you. Let's do it.
Happy to have you here, my friend. And you've been drafting some best ball teams lately too. I caught you on a stream the other day, and I think you were ripping one, and you were ripping a best bowl mania, the college best ball at the same time, and getting into it, huh?
Yeah, I think I might be the first person in YouTube history to try to draft a college and an NFL best ball team at the same exact time. We yet to be seen how the results are going to play out, but I had a blast doing it and might do it sometime again here before the summer ends.
Love it. Well, thanks for coming on, man. We've got the 11 spot in this first one. It pretty much snapped, filled. But don't worry, guys. We're going to run it back and do another best ball mania right after this one, too. But I appreciate y'all being here tonight. And sorry for the late start, but you guys know how it goes, putting little kids down. So we're getting into that. We've got Lal Samo in here. What's up, brother? Dr. B, how you doing? We got Bindles, my man, GM, Nick Bach, winning the flex. Always good to see you. And Dirty. Yeah, and then check out the poll, too. The poll in the chat. Would you prefer, going into this season for best ball, do you prefer Trey Harris or Luther Burden? I mean, if you asked anyone in college football a year ago, it was not a hard question to answer. It would have been Luther Burden hands down. But hey, the landing spots matter. Going to the Chargers, Mike Williams retiring. There's news going on with that. I think it could be a pretty nice landing spot for Trey Harris. What about you, Mike? Do you have any quick takes about Luther Burden versus Trey Harris?
So I would say, generally speaking, probably Harris over Burden. But man, they just keep hyping up Burden in training camp. Like Ben Johnson saying he might be in the coveted slot role that Amon-Ra St. Brown had in the Lions offense. And if Burden keeps getting steamed up, I might just have to start taking him more.
Yeah, I'm a pretty big Burden fan just from his breakout sophomore year at Mizzou. And then it's like, man, this guy was talented. He's got that dog in him. When he didn't get drafted day one, he went back out to the practice facility and was training all night long. I think he'll be good. Kind of like what I read into for the Bears is that, hey, if they drafted Colston Loveland, a pass catcher in the first round, and then they drafted Luther Burden in the second, it's bye-bye, DJ Moore. Nice to know you. I don't think he's going to last much longer. And then they're obviously looking for a year two breakout with both Caleb and Rome Odunze.
Yeah, it's definitely that's one of the offenses I'm really intrigued to watch this year because I've got some dynasty shares of Rome Odunze and really need to know how that's going to play out to see if I need to keep or sell.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. I think everyone's kind of waiting for that. Is Caleb going to be a bust? Can he actually take the step forward? Same thing with Odunze. We're on the clock. We're at the pick 11. I've got it by ADP. It'd be a Amon-Ra or Genty and kind of in this range. How are you playing this one, Mike?
I'm with Amon-Ra. I think that gives you the flexibility that no matter what the guy at the turn does, we can feel comfortable about who we draft. If we get Genty and then he goes back-to-back receivers, that really leaves us in a tricky spot.
Mm. Yeah, I take a Monroe there a good amount. I'm pretty bullish on the Lions still. I didn't love the news about the cleanup procedure on Monroe's knee, but I don't think it's that impactful. I think the guy is a stud. We've got our choices here with like London, Brown, McConkey, Bowers, or Achane or Henry. How do you lean here?
I'd go Achane. I think he's got the most upside out of anybody in that spot.
No doubt. I have my personal ranks in here, which I update almost every day. And then I'll keep it on ADP just so we have a good sense of where the players are. I know it's kind of hard to, when you're not controlling your own board, it can be hard to figure out which players are there and things, but I'll try to give us some time with these 20-second clocks to look at our next picks. And then one thing I got going on here, I'm going to hit the refresh. I've got my best ball overlay set up here. And that allows me to see like my combinations and things. So I filtered this for just my best ball manias, which I think I'm at like 67 entries right now. If I go over to Amon-Ra and then I do all players, I can see the combo. So it'd be Amon-Ra and Achane. I've got them combined 22% of the time, and I've got 14% Amon-Ra. So that's pretty hefty. I mean, if 8% is the field, I've got 14%, and then 12.5 for Achane. So I'm definitely in on both of these players, and it doesn't hurt to get him another combination of the two. I think that's a good spot to be at for sure.
Yeah, to kind of piggyback on what you're saying about Amon-Ra, I really think that he's just kind of a safe pick because even if you think that the Lions offense regresses without Ben Johnson, like I don't think Amon-Ra is the guy that's going to regress. Like he gets the easy targets and his game doesn't really rely on like explosive big plays. So as long as he's back healthy, like I don't think like a little knee injury is going to affect him a whole lot like it would like a speedster type of guy.
That's a good point. I mean, he's been old, reliable for the last few seasons, and he can have nice spike weeks. I think Amon-Ra is actually, he's a great kind of better in best ball player. He's incredible in all fantasy formats, but in best ball too, you get the advantage of not having to know if it's just going to be a run heavy week or a Laporta or a JMO week for the Lions. They have so many weapons. They score so many touchdowns. So there's a little bit of a floor there, but in case it's he doesn't get the touchdowns, in case it's not a big target week for him, which is rare, but in best ball, you kind of get that. He's kind of a nice piece for that. I saw Jalen Hurts go pick 18 here. I've never seen it. So it's kind of an interesting start. We'll have to keep an eye on the drafter in the 7 spot, taking McCaffrey and then Hurts with their first 2 picks.
Yeah, he must know something I don't with that one because I don't like. I'm in on Hurts with where he's being drafted. I'm not in on him with a second round pick when you can build your team with a whole lot of receiving options in that mid-second round, especially considering you have McCaffrey in round 1.
Yeah, no doubt. That's an interesting way. I mean, not even having AJ Brown, you could have got Hurts in the 3rd round if you wanted him that badly. He usually goes in the 4th, and he's been rising, but that's a little bit much. Chase Brown at 31 is not bad pick though. I think that's a pretty nice fall for a Chase.
Pretty solid value right there.
Yeah, Chase Brown value. So maybe he had something queued up and he got lost track of time. But we're about to make another pick. Where's your favorite position on the draft board? Do you like being in the front half, the back half, the middle? How you been feeling about the board this year?
So I kind of like being like 1 or 2 or like at the very end. I don't like being in the middle this year. I feel like a lot of those middle picks are all very similar to me in terms of like how I'm projecting them, which just makes it tough because then like I can't just draft Puka every time because then I'm going to have 40% Puka, right? So I feel the need to mix it up almost unnecessarily from the middle. It's weird.
Yeah. We're on the clock here. By ADP, be like Josh Allen, Evans, maybe Kittle, maybe Hampton.
I would be good to turn this into an Allen team.
Allen team, let's do it. Yeah. I only have 5% Josh Allen. I've been making a conscious effort to try to get some more. And I'm really bullish on Lamar Jackson, who I think I have 10 or 12% Lamar Jackson. Ooh, Hampton does go at the turn. Yeah. I'm jealous of that. I'm big in on Hampton. We got another pick here. We could do Worthy, Kittle, T-Mac, McLaurin. How do you feel?
I like Worthy.
Let's do it.
If you're good with that.
Yep. Definitely.
I really like the idea of getting Allen there because especially since Hurts has gone already and Lamar has gone already, there
Oh yeah,
might be kind of like a mad scramble for quarterbacks, and we're getting ahead of the curve, and that's going to allow us to kind of scoop up some value on the back end because we already have our guy. And in fact, I think our guy could end up being better than their guys. So I
true.
kind of like that strategy there.
35 is a great place to take Josh Allen, so I'm happy to grab him there. I'm trying to think through his playoff week. So obviously Philadelphia week 17, Cleveland in week 16, and then New England. And then I think so. Right now we don't have a ton of early correlation going, but some really nice players. We've got Achan and Worthy. Our and then we've also got Amon-Ra St. Brown and Josh Allen for our first 4 picks here. Yeah, this
And
is
if we want to be kind of aggressive with our QB2, we could get Goff as a stack
wow.
with Amon-Ra.
Did you see
And
what he did in the 7 spot? He just took Stephon Diggs at pick 42 overall.
interesting. The thing is,
Yeah.
I don't think that's bad enough to get the draft thrown out,
No,
but it
it's
is
not.
it's certainly interesting.
It's a choice.
Yeah.
So we're keeping an eye on the 7 spot drafter just because they might be, who knows? They might just be getting their guys.
I
But
mean, if
usually
you
don't
have
see that. Usually don't see that in a best ball mania. I maybe in a puppy or something, but as for a $25 entry, a lot of people don't like to burn those, but you never know. He could be doing something. I think in the past I've had weird drafts where I thought the person was doing something, maybe not this extreme, but then they end up, advancing out of the pod, and I'm like, man, my team got beat by that one that took,
right.
2 elite quarterbacks early or something crazy that's kind of unorthodox.
Well, were you drafting the legendary Gilbert Arenas weekend?
I didn't get any in with Gilbert. Did you?
I did not. Like I guess I just never got had any luck with it because I was mainly doing small dollars, and I don't know if Gil.
Right.
I think Gil likes the big baller ones, but
Yep.
I was so curious to see if I got one just to see what would happen because like I've truly never seen a wild card drafter like that before.
That was different. What up, JT? Thanks for stopping in, my friend. Hope you're doing great tonight. JT's going live soon later tonight. Gonna be ripping some drafts as always. Steve, what's up, brother? We're doing well. We're getting this one started. Thanks for being here. Steve and I were talking last night on the stream. We drafted against each other in a best ball mania, and then he came on and hopped on at the very end, and we finished it up, and then we drafted another one together. So always a good time. And I'm going to be on the Fanspeak Network tomorrow night, Wednesday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, doing Best Ball Jeopardy against none other than Bindles. So we're going to be facing off head to head. And then we've got Bruni, who's going to be hosting as the Alex Trebek. It's going to be a good time. Looking forward to that. Dragonheart, what's up? Yeah, no love for Rashi. We'll take some Xavier Worthy. I think he's going to continue to rise and be a 3rd round pick pretty soon. Yeah,
Our guy's at it again, but we're about to be on the clock.
Yes. Yo, what up, Green Bean? So Hunter is there at pick 59. That's pretty enticing. Also like Waddle, Hunter, Adunze. What do you think, Mike?
I like Waddle, but I'm open to your pick as well because I think this is.
Do you like Waddle with Achan, or you think they're fine together, or worse?
So I think the argument would be like a con for Tyreek Hill. Like if you think if you're pairing Waddle and Achan, like we're basically selling Tyreek Hill by pairing those two.
As a wide receiver 3, I do like Waddle. I'm pretty sure I don't have a best ball mania with Achan and Waddle. We'll take a look at the combinations after this. By ADP, it would either be Connor, Harvey, or Olave or Henderson. Is there anyone else in this range we should consider? And who do you like here?
I like Connor, but I could be talked otherwise.
No, I like Connor. I think that
he doesn't have the same bye week as Achan, which I like because we don't have to stress about running back for a while.
Oh yeah, no, we're definitely solid. Through our first 6 picks, we have Josh Allen, Devon Achan, James Conner, Amon-Ra, Xavier Worthy, Jalen Waddle. So we went the elite QB route, and we're playing it out through that. I've been drafting a good amount of James Conner, and let's look at the combo tool. So bestballoverlay.com, check it out. They got some free features you can use for like following ADPs and rankings. This is all free on their site. You can also get premium subscription for like the overlay tool that I use, as well as the portfolio analyzer that I use to like keep track of the teams that I've built, my roster constructions. I've been building a lot of 3-5-7-3 teams and that kind of stuff. And so, and then this is the overlay here. This is the combo tool. I wanted to look at Achane with Waddle, and we'll switch it to the all players. So I don't have Achane and Waddle on a Best Ball Mania team yet together. So that's a nice, we're making a team bet on the Dolphins, and I love making team bets in these best ball tournaments where even if I'm not taking Tua necessarily, I'm just betting on the Dolphins to have a good year and that these players, the whole offense is kind of humming along nicely, maybe a little bit undervalued. So,
well, also too, you got to think from a playoff perspective. Once you get to the playoffs, your lineup is basically a DFS lineup in week 15, and then hopefully week 16, and then hopefully week 17. And you can pair guys like Achane and Waddle together in like a DFS lineup because Achane can contribute through the air and on the ground, and Waddle's a big play threat at any time. And if we get a game where the Dolphins score 42, it's highly likely that at least one of those is going to be a big score for us.
Totally. I got a little bit distracted there. The drafter in the 7th spot took
he's
Smith Jr. and Will Mallory. So this draft will now probably get thrown out, which is a big bummer and kind of a waste of time. But what I like to do is I just continue drafting, use it as a exercise and kind of like building out a nice team anyways. And best case scenario, it doesn't get thrown out. But I would say this is a 9 out of 10 chance it gets thrown out with those 2 picks.
Yeah, because the first 4, you could make an argument like for them, like they weren't like totally off the wall. Right. Those 2 guys probably won't even make the 53-man roster.
Right. It's pretty egregious. So you hate to see that, but
it'll be all the more irritating if it gets thrown out. But we're probably in a perfect spot right now that Khalil Shakir could fall to us for our Allen stack at the end of this round.
I know. Yeah, he should be there. He goes kind of in that range, which is nice. He pairs up there. Oh, I was going to say, let's see. 42% inverse at 24. Really happy.
Jalen Polk. That's
May.
Ugh.
The digs. Oh, yeah, the digs. 30% digs. I don't have that much digs, but I know some people who have been pretty in on digs. Pat, who Bindles and I drafted with on Sunday night, he's way in on digs, and he's a Patriots fan. Yo, what up, Al Bug? How you doing tonight, my friend? Yeah, I know, Nick. Hate to see it.
Nick in the chat saying Polk is correlation with Diggs. That's hilarious.
Yeah, Polk's correlation with a Canadian football team that he'll be playing for this season. When he gets
there went Shakir too, so we actually have to come up with a plan here.
Godwin, we got news today. He had a second surgery in the spring, but I think if this, I would still make a bet on Godwin this late. How do you feel? Are you kind of out on
the
him?
Other guy that I was eyeing was Josh Downs, who just got taken. So
right.
So yeah, let's roll with Godwin. It's a great ADP value. And we're looking at a build right now that it's probably going to be pretty uncommon for somebody to have the combination of players that we have if this draft doesn't get thrown out.
100% plus Godwin gets the week 17 against our Miami double stack, Waddle and Achane. I still think, in a Best Ball Mania tournament, all of the money's won in week 17.
Mm-hmm.
So even if Godwin misses 6 games, starts off slow, if he can come back and be 90% or 80% of what he was last year, he'll pay off in this range.
Mm-hmm. Now we got options here.
Yeah. I think, one more receiver, or we could take a tight end like Hawkinson. How would you feel?
I'm good with Hawkinson. I think that we're set up pretty well at like every position right now. Like I don't feel like we're chasing anywhere. So to go ahead and take the tight end, feel like we got that settled in. I think that's a good move.
Typically through the first 8 rounds, there's some tier breaks, like the elite tight ends, the elite QBs, and then you get into this range of these early middle QBs and tight ends, the Burrow, the Mahomes, Laporta, and Hawkinson. And so sometimes, what's that?
And Herb Smith Jr.
Irv Smith Jr., Will Mallory, another elite tight end, no doubt. Sometimes I kind of focus in on some of those players that are kind of like a tier break for me after I feel really, really good about my wide receivers or running backs, so that I'm not too heavily invested in a skill position group where I'm just filling up my bench. Of course, it is good to have depth in these, and it's best ball, so you have to start the guys right, obviously.
Mhm.
But sometimes you're getting a little bit of a get ahead of the competition by taking a guy like Hawkinson. And then, it didn't hurt that Hawkinson, the Vikings, are at home against the Lions week 17. I keep saying it, but, making those mini game stacks for week 17 in case this team does get, and we're hoping it does get to the finals of Best Ball Mania. We want to be so prepared for week 17 with all the things. Like if we were building a team by hand from scratch in DFS this in that very week, like what would you try to do, right? You would try to game stack, you would try to team stack, you would do those small things. So not only building for the season long haul to advance, but then also having these little extra connections there can really help.
And one thing to add on to that point, I genuinely feel like for the most part, spike weeks at the tight end position come from elite tight ends.
Right.
And so for us to go ahead and lock up Hawkinson, that makes me feel a lot more comfortable that if we do, need a spike week from a tight end, that's a guy who can go out and get you one, as opposed to waiting around and, you're just throwing darts with the later tight ends.
Yeah. It's harder to cobble together spike weeks when you need it from 3 late tight ends. Although I do like the strategy, and I will use it a good amount of going with maybe a middle tight end and then two later, and then hoping that one of the later guys breaks out.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of safety and kind of a higher floor with just getting maybe a top 5 or 6 tight end like we did.
So
I see
one
one
thing I
thing
would
that's interesting was Golden went pick 93, but the ADP is kind of nonsense at this point with the number of odd players drafted.
The one thing I noticed also, just looking at this board, the guy that drafted Chase got Burrow at 72.
Yeah, pretty nice.
And if I'm him, though, I think that's a smart move to wait for that stack because, you've got a wild card drafting at pick 7 and the ADPs are going to shift. So I actually think that that's a really savvy move by him. Again, with the caveat, if this doesn't get thrown out.
Yeah. So we've got 107, 110 coming up, and we're going to be looking for a quarterback sooner than later. Baker
Keon
Mayfield's there.
Coleman still on the board?
Who's that?
Keon Coleman. Is he still on the board?
Yeah, we've got Keon. We do obviously have Josh Allen, so we don't have to take a quarterback here. We could get a nice stack with Baker, which could be worth it. But I think, taking the upside swing on a guy like Keon Coleman and stacking him up with our QB, probably the way we want to go. Plus, the drafter Crane in the 12 spot already has 2 QBs, he doesn't have a way to stack. He has Mike Evans, so you never know. But I think we're both thinking Keon Coleman here, right?
Mm-hmm. I like Coleman here, and then. Yeah, looking at how the draft is likely to play out, I don't think Goff will make it back to us. And I don't necessarily want to reach on Goff right now to make a stack with Amon-Ra. So I'd rather stack Baker with Godwin. And maybe we can make Cade Otton our tight end too. At the worst, we got ourselves a little mini game stack.
True. Would it make sense to get Warren here or just take Baker Mayfield?
I say let's just take Baker and we can just be done at quarterback.
I agree. I think it makes more sense to get Baker there. He's got a good ADP value. We've got him stacked up and the bringbacks. Jaylen Warren, to me, never been that special. 5 career touchdowns. Never, even in the opportunities he had last season. Yes, he was hurt, and the year before, never took over Najee's role. I don't know how good the Steelers are going to be this year. All of those kind of negative things. I know some people that I've talked to really do like Jaylen Warren again this year. But
I really like Warren as a player. Like, I think that he's like, if I was, drafting a real NFL team, he's a guy I would want on my roster. But I just have so much scar tissue from Arthur Smith that I just don't trust him to appropriately use his offensive weapons or to score a lot of points for that matter. And it just has me kind of off of taking. I haven't taken a lot of Caleb Johnson. I have not taken a lot of Jaylen Warren for that reason. Like, the one guy from that offense I'm drafting is DK.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, it's an interesting way to play it. I have to check my Steelers exposure. I think I have the most. I can check it real quick now, but yeah, all that to say, Baker Mayfield is an incredibly good pick there. We can always get a running back 3 at anywhere between round 11 and 18. There's no limit on getting late running backs that can break out. So the ability to replace Jalen Warren later on in this draft was extremely high, but we almost had zero chance to push Baker Mayfield or even Goff to our next pick, and those were going to be our best options at QB after we took Allen.
Right. So looking at the run, like, can you pull up the running backs that are available?
Yes, let's do that.
So looking at who's left, do you have like a favorite that like stands out, or do you want to try to push it another 2 rounds?
I think this is a good spot to maybe even double tap running back, depending on what tight end or receivers are there, because we're getting close to the wide receiver cliff that I like to call it, where kind of Burden just goes and some other picks. We're getting back into that tight end range where there's a lot of good tight end values. But here for running backs, I like Spears. Dobbins just went. I liked him. I take a good amount of Tootin. And then after that, I kind of would wait.
So you are not a Javonte Williams guy, I take it.
I'm a Jaden Blue guy. I've got in Best Ball Mania, I've got 11% Blue, and then I've got 6% Javonte. So I do see the path for Javonte to have a meaningful season, especially if they're just employing him as a pass blocker and he's getting more snaps. But I thought it was pretty damning that the Denver Broncos, who had the number 1 rated run blocking offensive line,
and he couldn't do
told
anything.
Javonte to get out of town.
Yeah. I will say I've been taking both of them because I feel like Rico Dowdle showed us last year that any scrub running back can go into Dallas with that offense and give you a productive fantasy season. So I've been taking both and just hoping that one of them just takes the role.
Yeah, and the same argument, like that's part of my bull case for Jaden Blue, although I think Jaden Blue is actually talented and a great pass catcher and fits perfectly with the Cowboys offense. Other people who hate on him would say, okay, but he's not good. Sure, whatever. Maybe he fumbles. At the same time, like you said, Dowdle got it done. Trey Harris is there. I don't know if we can pass on that value, right?
Obvious pick right here, Trey Harris. Like we talked about him earlier. I like Trey Harris, and I love that we're getting him almost 30 picks past ADP.
Incredible.
And I think we're setting ourselves up to take a pretty solid running back right here too.
Yeah.
Spears just went.
Yeah, Spears went. I like Tootin a good amount. I think he's a fun pick. We could do Ray Davis for the team correlation with the Bills. Not really a reach either. And then otherwise, Njoku or Loveland are both fun picks. But we have Hawkinson, so we're pretty good. I think Njoku's criminally undervalued this year for some reason. But
I agree.
Probably structurally, we'd want to go running back. Between these 3 picks, who do you lean?
I say let's go Tootin.
Yeah.
So the thing is and I feel the same way about Tootin as I do with Jaden Blue, is they're not necessarily like workhorse running backs that are going to give you like 25 plus carries in a game, but they're explosive players that they might only need 5 carries to get you 17 fantasy points, and that's enough. So I kind of like the idea of taking a guy like that in best ball as opposed to season-long fantasy.
Sure. Yeah, that would be explosive. That makes me think of like a few players last year that had limited touches, but then really had a big, would have big productive weeks. Kind of Chase Brown early on had some of that. And then he became more of a volume guy later in the season when he got up to about 80% snap share. But early on, he'd get it through with, 30, 40% snaps.
Now going in the way back machine. I don't know if you remember CJ Spiller in the early 2010s.
Oh yeah,
Buffalo. Like he just he broke off big plays like in an insane rate. And then the one year where everybody was projecting, oh, CJ is going to be the workhorse. CJ is going to be the workhorse. It doesn't work out.
Yeah, he knows that, because I remember that was I think it was 2010 when in my home league. That I still have going. We were drafting, and my buddy took CJ Spiller right before me, and then it just like tanked his season. Because I think it was 2010, maybe it was 2011.
I'm getting old to the point where those years are running together, but it was one.
I know. I think it was 2010 because it would have been fall 2010. So yeah, I think that was right after Spiller, and then I don't think he had a good season that year.
No, if best ball were around back then, I think all the best ball bros would have loved CJ Spiller.
No doubt.
Been a favorite of all the best ball bros.
I'm pulling up my exposures for the Steelers. I've got 8% Metcalf, 8% Caleb, 3 Warren, 3 Jonnu, 2 Aaron Rodgers, 6 Calvin Austin, 8 Freiermuth. So that's just for my best ball mania exposures. But I'm below the field on every Steeler, and it's really DK that I take the most of. Caleb Johnson, I still think he has some upside. I just a rookie running back, right? And I don't think Warren's incredibly good that he can fend him off.
Yeah,
most of the time.
I was big on Caleb Johnson in the pre-draft best ball.
Okay.
Not so much after I saw him go to the Steelers, just because I just have no faith in Arthur Smith.
Yeah, yeah. My highest exposed rookie running back pre-draft is actually two of them. It was Giddens and Hampton, and so Hampton's looking pretty good. Giddens, we'll see. We'll see if he can even get like the backup role behind JT. And Jonathan Taylor usually misses games, so maybe
Right.
there's some role for Giddens, but not a lot of standalone, more contingent.
The one that I had the most of pre-draft was Taj Brooks.
Oh, very nice.
And I'm feeling better about that as time goes on. Like once he got drafted to Cincinnati, I was like, I don't know. But now that time goes on, now that Zach Moss is apparently not in the picture anymore, I'm really
Yes,
feeling good about those Taj Brooks shares.
I would feel good. We're about to be back on the clock, but you could argue Taj Brooks might be a better pass catcher than Chase Brown,
Yes.
even.
Brooks just impressed me so much at Texas Tech behind a very bad offensive line.
Oh yeah,
And
they were
now
bad.
he's playing for the Bengals, where he's got Joe Burrow and all these weapons and a good O line. Like he instantly upgraded his personal situation.
Yeah, those Tech teams were pretty bad. And my brother, my sister went to Tech, so we follow the Red Raiders, of course. And Taj Brooks was always the bright spot. Ooh, Jaden Blue is there. I would lean blue. And then, is there anyone else here we'd even consider? I don't think so.
I like blue.
Tight end wise, we didn't get Kincaid to come back around. He did last a while. He went pick 151, but didn't make it here.
Now, I know that I'm not going to beat the Texas Homer allegations, but Jaden Blue at the value we got him at's pretty solid.
Yeah, come on, guys. I fight with the chat most nights to get him on the Jaden Blue side, but I've soapboxed enough. They've already heard it all. Here, back on the clock, 2461. I'm kind of leaning maybe Kyle Williams, or we could do Palmer for the stack.
Let's go Palmer. I like Palmer there.
Who knows with the Bills and the way they're spreading it around?
Well, because we already had Coleman, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so we're now in a situation where we have a solid wide receiver room on its surface, and we've got two guys for the Bills that all we need is one of them to break out.
Oh, yeah. No, that's a smart way to play it.
Yeah, what we don't need is a situation like in Green Bay last year where every single game they were spreading it around to 7 different guys, and just none of them are great in best ball. But as long as one of them breaks out and becomes the guy, we're going to be sitting really pretty.
Yeah. For sure.
So now, as we're getting kind of down to crunch time here, do you think that you want to make this a 3 tight end build, or do you want to just go with one of the guys that's left?
I think I love being in this position where our team is built. Our bets are made. Now we have luxury picks. And usually I have a luxury pick with like my last pick or two. I feel like we have 4 luxury picks. We could do anything with these last 4 picks, probably some depth at running back. So if we look at what we have, a 2-4-7-1 through 14 rounds, we'll probably look to get up to 5 or 6 running backs. Most likely stop with 2 quarterbacks, and then we'll have the ability to take 2 or 3 tight ends. If we did like a 2, 6, 7, 2, we're still going to have another pick to distribute somewhere, right? So
yeah,
we could grab a late receiver if we really wanted to, but I think our receiver room is pretty solid. I don't know that we need another one or have any bye week issues. And then one thing I kind of like to do is I don't mind taking a 3rd quarterback if they're going to let the value fall on a guy like a Cam Ward or a Geno Smith. I mean, that just increases your floor so much to have one of those guys, even if they're unstacked, just for the in-between weeks. Like last year, week 1, you could have had Joe Burrow and Caleb Williams. Their best score between them was 7 points in week 1. If you would have had Geno Smith, he put up 24 points. You could have gotten 17 more points in week 1 alone just from taking a 3rd quarterback in that kind of odd situation. But that reminds me of like, it doesn't hurt even if you have an elite guy like a Burrow or an Allen to try to get another third if it makes sense, but it doesn't always have to,
Yeah, because more often than not, the running backs and receivers we're drafting now aren't going to help us a whole lot anyway.
Yep.
Like, obviously, we want them to. Obviously, we're talking ourselves in our minds into them helping us. But yeah, I totally get that argument.
A guy I'm highlighting here, Jerome Ford, has been rising up a ton, and I think is a pretty savvy pick. I'm hoping he's there, and we could put Jerome Ford on this squad. Would be pretty nice.
I'd be good with Jerome Ford there.
Some veteran presence to balance out the rookies too, and then I mean, I don't have a lot of them yet, so I want to get some more exposure to them.
So, especially considering not only are his two main competitions rookies in Judkins and Sampson, but Judkins could be facing a possible suspension. And so Ford's early season value is really good, which makes for a really good pairing with Tootin and Blue, who might be more kind of late bloomers because they're rookies.
Love it. Couldn't have said it better myself. With this 16th round pick, maybe we look to tight end. We have a natural stacking partner with Otten, with Baker.
I was going to suggest either Otten or McMillan, I think would be the logical moves here. Does Otten have the same buy as Hawkinson, though?
Hawkinson's 6, so we'd be
Otten
good there.
Yeah.
Do you prefer McMillan?
So I think let's go ahead and pull the trigger on Otten.
Okay.
Because I think tight end really gets bad after Otten and Taylor. Like Otten and Taylor, you're getting guys who are going to be every down starters on what we expect to be decent offenses. You could argue about the Jets not being decent, but Taylor is going to be a big part of that passing game. And after those two, it just really dips in quality. There's really nobody you feel really secure about after those two. So I really like the idea of making sure that I get my second tight end before Mason Taylor's off the board.
That's smart. There is kind of it can be tough if you're relying on needing 2 tight ends in round 17 and 18. Right. If you're getting a third tight end in that range for an upside swing, I like Ferguson. Now we have the news that Arroyo might have an expanded role. You could take an upside shot on a guy like JT Sanders, or even, some of these late guys. Theo Johnson's getting a little bit of hype.
The new one I'm seeing with hype is Arroyo because of Fant getting released.
Right.
That one I get. But also, like, you're really making a narrow bet there.
True. So I think, obviously, we're worried about the 7 spot in this draft getting thrown out, but I think we just keep playing it as if it won't, because stranger things have happened, and it's not the worst draft I've ever seen, but it is pretty strange.
I mean, through 3 rounds, he had 2 really good picks.
Yeah, 2 good picks.
McCaffrey and Chase Brown, like, that's a really good start if you ignored the other ones.
Yeah, he made some weird picks in the middle, and then the quarterbacks make sense except for Watson. He made some in and out, good and bad picks.
I don't think he was drafted. I know he played at Alabama last year. I don't remember him getting drafted.
Like, the fact that CJ Dupree is incredible. Like, you're a total ball knower, and you follow college football so closely. Like, that's incredible. I don't remember CJ Dupree at all.
All the years of playing college football DFS and being just a total degenerate for that, like, and you got to know who the wide receiver 3 on Akron is if you want to make money on a Tuesday night. Like, where my realm of knowledge is.
Incredible. Yeah. Well, after this draft wraps up, we can talk a little bit more about the rookies, and I can pick your brain a little bit on players you think will transition well to the NFL from college. It'll be a fun kind of discussion topic before we get into our next Best Ball Mania, rip another one and catch up with the chat a little bit. One last thing I was going to mention. So I've been talking about the Best Ball Overlay tool. If anyone out there is curious about Best Ball Overlay, you can check it out, bestballoverlay.com. If you're interested in getting into the premium side of it, use code GARAGE, and you can get 25% off your premium subscription for Best Ball Overlay. But likewise, if you have any questions about it, you can DM me on Twitter at FFBGarage. Follow me there. Just in general, make sure you're subscribed to the channel here, the Fantasy Football Garage. Hit the like while you're watching, and make sure you're subscribed to Mike's channel too. Links are in the description. It's Mike's Money Picks, and he's putting out really good content all week long, pretty much all year long, whether it's DFS, best ball, NFL, college, golf. The man covers that and more. And he's got a pretty nice Discord setup too. We're getting right back into this next pick, but a little bit of promo for the people.
So if we want to go with a 6th running back, there's some good ones there. Like we got Brooks, we got Keaton Mitchell, we get Brashad Smith. Like there's options if we want to add a 6th running back. What do you think?
100%. And I think we will. Quarterback wise, it would only be, I don't feel like it's worth either Shuck or Dart. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't want any of those quarterbacks. I'm good to stay with Allen.
The tight ends are not very enticing. The wide receivers, we could throw on Keenan Allen late, but I think which running back do you prefer the most?
I would probably go Brashard Smith.
Okay. Let's do it.
So, like, the thing is with Smith is, when you're drafting somebody this late, you're playing the what-if game, and the what-if game is, what if he ends up being the receiving back for the Chiefs and ends up being Jerick McKinnon, right?
Love it.
I'd be pretty cool with taking that in the 17th round.
2672. Do you ever draft Keenan Allen? Would you want to take a different receiver or another running back?
I'm good with Allen. Yeah, I'm good with Allen from that list. I've been drafting a little bit of Tyler Lockett in this range. I don't think he is washed yet, and I think that Cam Ward's skill set fits him quite well. But Keenan Allen, I think there's a ton of upside there.
Yeah, right. And we just don't know what's going to happen with Keenan Allen. I made a pretty big bet. I had 20% J.K. Dobbins before he signed with the Broncos, and that paid off well. So that's kind of like feeding forward into me getting more into Keenan Allen than I was before, because I've just kind of seen how quickly that could pay off.
Yeah, I was the same way with Dobbins. And while I don't think Denver was like the optimal place he could have signed, the fact that you simply can't draft him where he used to be drafted is like a sign that it was a good move to invest early in Dobbins. And I think Keenan Allen could very well be the same way.
No doubt. Let's see. Yeah, so we wrap this one up. I want to see the last pick that the 7th spot made. Hunt and Wicks and Slayton and Sanders, all decent picks. So like nothing crazy there.
Yeah, he's drafting actual players on NFL rosters who should be drafted in those last 4 rounds. So like hard to complain too much.
Yeah. With Pacheco, so with the Brashard Smith pick, Pacheco obviously was injured last year, had a couple injuries, and Kareem Hunt came back in and had some nice weeks, some really good spike weeks. Brashard Smith, converted wide receiver, played at SMU, had a pretty decent year last year for the Mustangs. And yeah, I like your take that what if he's just upside case Jerick McKinnon, gets a few touchdowns, especially in the receiving game, and is playing some snaps and getting some of those high value touches. If he's not the grinder back, if he's not, getting all of the inside between the tackles rushes that maybe they're still giving to Pacheco, maybe he's catching balls on kind of out routes and things like that, or in the red zone. That could be pretty valuable.
And I'm also always gonna, like, when given the choice between options, I'm usually always going to take the guy on better offenses, just because you're going to get more cracks at the end zone, right? So like, Brashard Smith in that spot I like a lot. Both the Rams guys in that spot I like a lot, and Taj Brooks is another one that I like a lot, because if they do carve out a role, is it even going to be worth anything for some of those other guys? Where, if you're a Kansas City Chief, if you carve out a role, you're going to be able to score a lot of touchdowns, because that's a team that's going to be in the red zone all the time.
Definitely. Yeah, I've been taking a good amount of Jarquez Hunter. I need to get a little bit more Corum, so I'm balanced. But I've been taking a ton of Jarquez Hunter. He's my most drafted player this offseason so far.
Yeah, I have considered myself a Kyren Williams truther in the early part of his NFL career, but you can only withstand so many years of your team trying to draft your potential replacement.
Yes.
Like, it's a little alarming that they drafted Corum and then drafted Jarquez Hunter. Like, I don't think Kyren Williams is bad. Like, I think he's a solid NFL running back, but eventually they're going to find a guy to replace him, it seems like.
Yeah, it's confusing to me. I go back and forth on it because I'll draft Kyron too. I'll draft
Mhm.
any Ram. I like the Rams offense. I'll draft Rams players. But with Kyron, it's like maybe it's just volume based. Maybe what they're trying to signal is that anyone in his shoes could do what he's doing or as well. Because like year over year in fantasy, he's a great asset. Like he's having incredibly high production, big spike weeks. One thing I'll flip over, I think I can show it here. There's a lot of numbers, didn't make a whole lot of sense, and it's a little bit blinding, so I won't show it for too long. But this is sorted. What I did was, and I kind of put this together recently, but if you imagine every potential consecutive 3-week games as a week 15, 16, 17 slate. So, right, the Best Ball Mania playoffs is weeks
Mhm.
15, 16, and 17. But instead of just looking at those 3 weeks, I segmented every 3 weeks. So starting with weeks 1 through 3, and then 2 through 4, and then 3 through 5. And I did
Mhm.
that. And there's 15 of those iterations from last year. And then what I did is I came through and I said, um, this first one is asking their finish. If they were RB1, so top 12, RB2, top 24, RB3, top 36 finish. Kyron Williams finishes an RB1 on a 3-week slate across last season 10 out of 15 times, which is one of the highest rates among all running backs last year.
Yeah.
It's just below Gibbs, Bijan, and Saquon. And then when you start to combine, he was an RB2 3 times, an RB3 only twice. So 100% of the time he was an RB3, 87% of the time on any given consecutive 3-week slates, he
Mhm.
was a RB2 or better 87% of the time. And then the last thing I did was I said, let me use actual benchmark like thresholds, not just whether they were a top 12 or 24. So these are
Mhm.
actual scoring benchmarks. So I said, um, elite and elite count would be how many times, which is over here, this one here, how many times they scored more than 20 points on average across a 3-week. So they'd have to score over 60 fantasy points for it to average 20 points a week over that 3-week, that
Mhm.
go. How many times did they do that out of 15 times possible last year? Kyron actually only did it twice. Saquon did it 7 times, which is
Mhm.
insane. So I'm
Yeah,
getting
if you didn't have Saquon last year, you weren't winning a whole lot of money, like, bottom line.
yeah. Yeah. He was huge. I mean, everyone kind of saw that or knows that. Um the threshold I put for RB1 was, I think I said great. I have it over here. Greater than 17 points. And these are half point PPR. For
Mhm.
tier 2, I said greater than 13 points, and tier 3 is greater than 10 points. So it's a pretty high threshold. But
Yeah.
Kyron was higher than 17 points about half the time. And this is across a 3-week average. So this is like guys who can consistently score really high. He scored what was that, 13 or more points 73% of the time, and he scored more than 10 points 87% of the time. So I've been slowly going through this list. I just put this data together kind of recently, but it's given me some new insights to like which running backs are actually worth drafting in the first couple rounds and which
Right.
guys maybe are not good enough. Um, so yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say with Kyron because he's super consistent with high scoring weeks. But then the
Mhm.
other part of it is only 2 out of his 15 slates were averaging 20 points or more, which is compared to the guys around him a little bit lower. Like Josh Jacobs did it more than twice as much. 5 times he had averaged 20 points across 3 weeks.
That is interesting. That's a different way of looking at it, and I like it a lot because, I mean, really what you're looking for in Best Ball Mania or a similar formatted game is you're looking for, like, a guy to be the man over that 3-week stretch, and, to me, that's a signal that maybe if Kyron's able to maintain his same rate as last year, maybe we need to be drafting him a little higher.
Yeah. And so yeah, like it so like obviously like if you scored, let's imagine a player scored 40 points in week 5, that's going to
Mhm.
average in for their weeks 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, 6, and 5, 6, 7. So that one score is going to hit like 3 of their slates because it's not like I'm going 1 to 3 and then 4 to 6, but it's
Right.
overlapping 3 game slates and you get 15 of those out of 17 weeks. So
S
so
So I pulled up his game log, right? Now this is full PPR I'm looking at.
Okay.
But he didn't have a week under 15 or 14 full PPR points until week 9.
For Josh Jacobs.
Or for Kyron.
Oh, for
Sorry.
Kyron. Yeah.
Yeah.
He kind of slowed down later in the season because I remember my brother traded Kyron. My brother traded Chase Brown for Kyron plus some other player. And then Chase Brown ended up being the better selection.
In the all important 3-week playoffs of Best Ball Mania, not a dud week either. 13, 19, 16. So no duds in the playoffs from Kyron Williams.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. Those are this is like the summarized data. I have all of the compiled, like a aggregated data on my other laptop, and I'm gonna, because you can like filter. I could just like filter for Kyron, and then we could see his 15 slates, and we could see like all the different and what it's average. So I have that too. But I've just started to look into this like really recently because I'm pretty fixated on which running backs are actually worth it. One that stands out to me here. Look at Joe Mixon, and he only played 15 games. He dealt with some ankle injury that he's still dealing with apparently, but 8 out of the 15 slates, and of course he missed a game, so like there's a little bit of a asterisk there, but 8 times he was an RB1, and 8 times he scored as an RB1 on my scoring threshold. 6 of those were elite slates, so he averaged 20 fantasy points in half point PPR across 3 weeks 6 different times.
Yeah, I mean, Mixon, I feel like he's been doing this for years where, like, you go back after the season, and it turns out the numbers were actually very good when at the time it didn't feel like it.
Yeah, Mixon
he had that week in Cincinnati where he scored, 60 fantasy points against Carolina? And it just kind of threw all of his season numbers off after that because of the one outlier performance. But I also really like what you do with the notes over there. That's one thing I love to do, is to compare this upcoming year to last year. Like, what can I anticipate for an increase or a decrease in production? And everything with Mixon points to a decrease in production this year.
Yeah, that's the caveat. You're right. So like obviously they bring in Nick Chubb, we've all loved him for years. He's incredible. Obviously, it's a different part of his career now, but the O-line maybe got worse. They drafted 2 rookie wide receivers. They might be passing a little bit more than they were running it last year. So I'm trying. I've just started to go down my list and bring this data together, but I'm trying to get a better sense and remind myself of what happened last year, because it's really hard to keep everything fresh after I've drafted so many best ball teams. I want a second look and remember why I'm doing certain things. I was going to jump over to these Mixon game logs. I remember that game. I guess it was, do you have 3 touchdowns? Which game was it? It was
you had a big game against Dallas last year, right?
Yeah. 35 PPR points, 3 touchdowns against Dallas. So that game alone would be averaging into the 3 of his slates, and all 3 of those slates are going to end up being elite. So that one score accounts for 3 of his 6 elite slates that he did last year, but for good reason. He still did it.
Right.
It's not like we're discounting it that much.
And I feel like that was like, thinking back to last year, that was like the peak of, in DFS, player running backs against Dallas. Like, no matter who it is, running back against Dallas, play them. And I think that strategy peaked like that week, and then they got a little bit better towards the end of the season.
Another kind of more random notes, but Bucky Irving and Rachaad White are right next to each other. They were each an RB1 4 times, but when you use a scoring threshold of greater than 17 points, I think I had it at, Bucky only averaged that across the 3-game slate 3 times. Rachaad White did it twice. Bucky had 2 elite slates of averaging 20 points or more across 3 weeks. Rachaad White never did it. So like they're pretty similar, but Bucky's ceiling is just higher, is the takeaway for me.
Yeah, and I think that Tampa running back situation is a good one to target. I've been drafting both of them at cost. Like, I think White's a pretty good value where he's at, because A, he's got the contingent value if something happens to Bucky, but B, Tampa was a team last year that really in individual games committed to one running back. Like there was Bucky weeks and there was Rashad weeks. And, if Rashad as your running back 3 or running back 4 in a best ball format just gives you a few of those weeks, you're going to get return in value from him.
No doubt. Yeah. Yeah. I've been drafting a decent amount of those pieces. I don't have so I'm all over the place, but for Bucky Irving, 9%, Mike Evans only 5, Godwin only 3. I guess I'm a little bit behind there, but I've been waiting to get better injury news and technically haven't gotten it yet. Egbuka 17, Mayfield, I have not drafted him a single time in Best Ball Mania. We just got him in this one.
We just did.
Hopefully it doesn't get thrown out. But yeah, I need that exposure because I don't want to be out on Mayfield. He's just so expensive. It's like we're paying for last year's scoreboard and trying to use it to score points this year. The quarterbacks, they get overvalued every year over year. Like you see Dak get overvalued. Now he's undervalued. You see Joe Burrow and Baker getting overvalued. And I'd rather maybe have Goff later, or even Stafford and Geno Smith are not as good as what Baker Mayfield's been doing lately, but the arbitrage, just like the opportunity cost of, if you take Baker Mayfield, you might be missing out on, a breakout running back or a rookie wide receiver that could break out kind of thing.
Well, also too with Baker, I feel like he has some of the characteristics that best ball drafters love, in that he's got multiple stacking partners that are pretty easy to get with him. And he's also got a great playoff schedule. Like, best ball drafters love looking at those playoff schedules, and that's about as good as it gets for a quarterback.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, you really hit the nail on the head there about his stacking partners. And that's probably why I need to get more of them. But I take Egbuka 17% of the time. I thought my white was higher across all tournaments. For Best Ball Mania, it's a little bit lower. I definitely had a ton of Rachaad White pre-NFL drafts, like pre-NFL draft best ball. But yeah, man, fun squad. Let's jump right into another one. I'm gonna go do a little errand real quick, so I'll be right back on the stream. But let me see if I can zoom out a bit, and you could just do like a once over on this team and kind of talk to the people about I don't know if I can show the whole team, but I'll who the quarterbacks are. I'll scroll down, and then it's Achane and Connor. So I'll let you kind of see the main parts of the team, and I'll be just right back.
All right. So looking at what we did in this last draft, like we were talking about, I kind of like what we did. Now, y'all in the chat, y'all let me know if y'all agree or not. If you like what we did, don't like what we did, let us know. But I actually really like this team we drafted, and I'm hoping and praying that it doesn't get thrown out because of old buddy in the 7th spot drafting reckless. But yeah, we got our top 2 running backs that were pretty solid in Achane and Connor. And then what we did was we backed them up with guys who might not necessarily be needed over the course of a whole season to give us like consistent workhorse running back type stuff, but they're guys that can give us individual weeks or individual situations where they can pop and give us a week or two if we need, because we've got 2 pretty solid starting running backs. I would be probably drafting different types of running back profiles if we didn't have the first 2 solid, right? Then when you look at receiver, we really set ourselves up in a really good spot because we've gotten guys that are going to be in good offenses. Amon-Ra in Detroit, Worthy in Kansas City, Waddle in Miami. I do anticipate them to bounce back a little bit this year as long as Tua can stay healthy. Godwin in Tampa, another good offense, another stacking partner with Baker. And then Trey Harris in with the Chargers, another guy in what we anticipate to be a pretty good offense. And then, like we were talking, we just need the one breakout between Coleman and Palmer, and that'll make that stack with Allen look really, really good. But the best part of it is we don't need our Allen stack to come through because we've got enough other good receivers elsewhere that we might not need one of them on any given week.
Love it. I heard part of that. Had to go check on the kiddos, make sure he was asleep and all that stuff. It's all good. And we're going to jump into another one. Let's jump right into another Best Ball Mania draft. I'm going to put it in the chat. So if you guys see in the chat that I'm entering now, go ahead and hit enter, and then you'll enter when I do if you want to draft this with us. And we'll see. Waiting on 6. So you guys should have a good shot at this. Let me go ahead and resize the board. Make sure. Yeah, there we go. I'm gonna catch up with the chat real quick
Mm.
because I love how we were kind of getting into it there at the end of that draft. I mean, the 20-second pick clock, it's hard, and then all the player takes and looking through some of the stuff. But let me just catch up with the guys here, and they're probably giving me some shit in the chat about missing out on the comments, but that's typical. It's I mean, with these drafts, I'm telling you, the difference in the 30-second clock to the 20-second clock, it makes it like you got to focus on these drafts. It's like you can't the back and forth. It can get really
It
tricky.
really it really feels different streaming as opposed to like actually just sitting there like on my phone or on my laptop drafting. Like, but
Yeah,
when you're streaming and when you're talking about it, it feels like it's flying a million miles an hour.
yeah. Nick, sometimes Underdog does ban them, but not always. But sometimes they get suspended. Sometimes people like don't know better or they don't know how serious it is, and they kind of tell them. But that's all I know. Yeah, what up? Make sure you guys hit the like on it. Appreciate you being here, Fantasy Dog. Hope you're doing good, brother. And make sure you guys are also checking out Mike's channel. Links in the description to his Twitter and his YouTube channel. He's putting out a lot of good content, so make sure you check him out. And definitely a ball knower. If you haven't already figured it out, Mike knows some football for sure.
Yeah, and we don't just specialize in one sport. I've been doing NFL best ball, college football best ball, talking about golf on a weekly basis. So yeah, y'all come on over and check us out, and whatever you like, hopefully we got something for you.
Hell yeah, I'm a big fan. I think it might have been originally your golf content that I was taking in myself, and yeah, I mean, I'm sure you and I could just go on forever about golf, but we're drafting football right now. The draft has started. We're in the 6th spot. How do you like the 6th spot? I know you were mentioning you don't love the middle of the draft, but at least we get a
Yeah.
top 6 option, right?
So for 6, I think my ideal target would be Gibbs.
Me too.
Like,
Oh, 100%.
and I feel like that's a pretty solid start because normally the middle of the second ends up being a run on receivers, and you just kind of end up with whoever is left. And I feel like that's just a solid, okay start. Like, it might not be the start that's gonna, totally win you $1 million, but it's just a start that you can build on.
Right. Hey, and we spoke it into existence. We get Jahmyr Gibbs,
It worked
who
out.
I just went on record saying I think it could be the RB1 on the season. I'm super excited about Gibbs for 2025.
Absolutely. I mean, we saw it last year when Montgomery got hurt. Gibbs was a freaking cheat code. Like, just
Yes,
every single week, you could count on him getting you just massive point totals. And I don't even think he necessarily needs Montgomery to get hurt. He can do that when Montgomery's healthy.
100%. I've been one of the things I looked into at the beginning of the season was just what you said there. The stretch that Gibbs had when Montgomery was hurt, he was putting up, I think it's like 23, 24 fantasy points on average per week. And uh, I did this calculation months ago, but the short version of it is Montgomery was getting about 15 touches. Gibbs was getting about 16, 17 touches per game throughout the whole season. If that tilted to Gibbs getting closer to 20 and Montgomery being closer to like 12, we'd have a Christian McCaffrey outcome on our hands with Gibbs. He's that efficient. The offense is that good. They score enough. He catches enough balls. So if he gets a little bit more volume, which can happen, then Gibbs can really be the guy you need this year.
Yeah, just the upside there is incredible. I think you could argue that he has more upside than any other back, like especially considering that the two with more upside are getting drafted before him.
Right. And I think Bijan also an incredible back, but he's already like there's not much more volume for him to get. He's pretty maxed out on volume. So it's him just getting more efficient. And it's easier to get more volume than it is to get more efficient sometimes. We're back on the clock. Do you like London, McConkey, JT, Bucky?
I would probably lean London.
Yeah.
I get the argument for McConkey, but Michael Penix was just feeding London at the end of last season. And that is what I like to see because that is the one thing that he was not getting consistently before Penix took over was just this volume because London's a guy that he's not going to get you there on like a 65-yard touchdown, but he can get you like a 10 for 95 and 2 scores.
He's a chain mover. He's an engine of the offense. Of course, Bijan is that too. It's a high-powered offense. I think you and I are both in agreement that Michael Penix could be one of like the next great pocket passers in the league. I think we'll hope he's got to take a lot of steps forward, but like the guy can throw a really nice ball, like deep, especially.
Yeah, I think Penix could kind of be like, I can't remember what year this was exactly, but the first year Jordan Love started with the Packers, where like nobody really knew what to expect. He was getting drafted as like a backup in season-long fantasy. He was getting drafted as a QB2 in best ball, and he ends up giving you like borderline QB1 numbers and some spike weeks. Like I think that could very well be Penix's future this year because he's got a great offensive great weapons around him, and I really think he's got the goods. He throws a really pretty deep ball.
Oh, P-Punch. You took Jacobs. I would have loved to.
Yeah, I was hoping we were going to get that. That was going to be an easy pick.
Do you like going elite QB? Would you take McBride, or do you want to take another receiver, or maybe even Josh Allen?
I say let's go McBride. I don't think this combination of players happens very often.
Nope.
With McBride falling to there. So I think that we're a little bit unique with that start.
So our start through 3 picks, we've got Jahmyr Gibbs, Drake London, Trey McBride. I was going to quickly mention, I don't have and getting London that late was nice. I don't have the combination of Gibbs with London in Best Ball Manias. And I'm pretty sure I don't necessarily have McBride either with Gibbs. So this is a very nice team for me. And then we are in the middle, so we'll have a little bit more time. Wow, Hampton going pick 32. I'm trying to keep mental notes on where Hampton's going to be going now that we've been getting more and more Najee news. And I have moved Hampton up in my own rankings to about 32, 33 range. So like this, I mean, he might be, before we know it, he could be going in the beginning of the 3rd round. But we saw Kyron get pulled up here too.
It just depends on what ends up needing or what ends up happening with Najee, right? Like if Najee is actually blind, then Hampton's going to be moving up draft boards. Because the thing is with Najee, like if it was nothing, we wouldn't have found out about it.
True. Yo, what up, Tyler? Thanks for stopping by, brother. Great stream earlier, as always, with the Influencer 101, Pete Overzet on the Fantasy Sanctuary. Incredible stuff. Always a good time. Thanks for stopping by, my friend. And Fantasy Dog holding it down. The man. And then I almost caught up with y'all. Yeah, P-Punch. I knew you were here, Peanut. Stealing my picks. What's up, brother? Hope you're having a great Tuesday night. Thanks for being here, man. Oh, McBride goes, but good. We had or Kittle went. We have McBride though. What about T-Mac? I
like McMillan personally.
Yes. Yeah.
That's another guy, like he's kind of in the London camp. Like they're very similar players in my opinion, that he's just going to get fed volume from Bryce. Because the one thing Bryce has not had in the last 2 years is a guy that can turn a 50-50 ball into an 80-20 ball. And I think he's going to love having that luxury with McMillan.
I'm sorry. Who did you comp McMillan to?
Drake London.
So close, but not there. 8 seconds. Try it again.
Had to do it. Do you want to give us a quick recap of our team so far?
Yeah, so, starting in the 6th spot, we got our ideal target in Jahmyr Gibbs, which is like the dream start from the 6, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
Because you don't have to fiddle with that middle of the round, like group of receivers. They're all very similar, in my opinion, and you're able to start with that elite running back. We then got 2 great ADP values, with London falling back to us at, I believe, 19 was our pick, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And then McBride falling to us at pick 30. You don't get those guys at that pick usually. So we've got a very unique start. And we've also got guys at great ADP values that we can always go back and stack later as well. And then another one with McMillan at 43, right around ADP. Another guy in a good situation. Strong double wide receiver start through 4 rounds.
Love it. Yeah, this is a fun start for sure. We don't have the elite QB. We do have the elite tight end this time. So we're switching it up. And the skill position players, I mean, Gibbs, London, and T-Mac, sign me up for that.
So if he goes Metcalf, I'm good with one of those running backs.
I mean, I worry about stacking up Hubbard with T-Mac. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with that one.
someone said it earlier to me, and it made kind of sense in my head. I tend to go Kamara over Hubbard, whether that's right or wrong. I'm not sure. Obviously, the Panthers have a good offensive line, and maybe their offense is just better overall. But are you cool with Kenneth Walker here?
I like Walker there a lot. And he does have the same buy as Gibbs, but I'm not concerned about it because like they're both really good. Like we can just make sure we've got guys that are going to be, active in week 8 and we'll be fine.
Totally. And it's early in the draft. We have time to make up for that kind of overlap.
We could honestly set ourselves up for a running back flex if we wanted to, so that way we have that extra bit of flexibility. Because this next group that falls in the middle around 6 is always so interesting. I find it to be the most unpredictable range is round 6. Like you just never know what's going to happen.
True. Going back to like college football takes, were you a big fan of McMillan, what he did at Arizona?
So Arizona last year was a very flawed team, but and Noah Fafita really had his ups and downs at quarterback, but there was never really like a drop off from McMillan's personal play. Like his stat lines would fluctuate because the quarterback play and the offensive line play was really bad. Their game management from a coaching staff I thought was quite bad at times as well. But he was always there, dependable, target, steady, had some massive games, had some games where he wasn't as involved, but I never felt like it was his own fault when he wasn't involved. Like I really think he's a perfect fit in that Carolina offense.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited for him. Who straight up, who would you rather have in fantasy? Oh, we'll get back to the question. Let's make this next pick coming up.
Here's this unpredictable round, like I was talking about. We got 4 running backs to start the 6th.
Yeah, you don't always see that. Sometimes one of them will fall, whether it's Travion but Swift gets pulled up here. Caleb gets pulled up. Debo goes there a little early. Sometimes Debo goes later.
What are your thoughts on? Actually, Adunze is a really good pick, but I kind of like Jacoby Myers, but I think we might be able to get him in the 7th.
I think we probably can, although it's not too early to bring him up if we really want him. I mean, it's him.
Adunze would give us a little bit of a playoff stack with Carolina.
Adunze went.
Oh, I'm sorry, Olave. I meant.
Oh, Olave. Yes. Yeah, I like Olave. I think Olave's solid. You want to grab him?
Yeah, let's go Olave. The thing is with Olave is like as long as he doesn't get another concussion, he simply has to be targeted in that offense.
Yes. Yeah. And most seasons we've been drafting Olave in the 2nd or 3rd round for fantasy. The year after he's got some injuries, some concussions, now he's going in the 6th. I understand the QB play is a question, but the dude is definitely good. Like he's definitely a good receiver. And so we're betting on talent here. Maybe the situation is not great, but it's not too expensive of a price for a guy who's proven 1,000-yard receiver and a target hog too.
Right. And really, I think there's a general lack of competition there in that offense. Like Shaheed is okay, but like he is what he is. He's not going to be a big volume guy.
Oh, definitely not. Yeah.
Juwan Johnson at tight end can be kind of iffy. Like if I'm Tyler Shuck, I'm going to be targeting Olave early and often.
Yeah, he fits nicely on this team. Our wide receiver 3 with Drake London. We're doing an NFC South thing.
Right.
We've got London. We've got T-Mac, and who plays the Saints in week 15, and then Olave. So that's pretty cool.
Are you good with Myers if he falls here?
Of course. Yeah, I think this is a good spot to take him if he's there.
He's a guy I've been drafting a lot. Like, I just think that his ADP is not indicative of what we saw from him last year. And I think that the quarterback play is going to be much better than what we saw last year.
Yeah, we'll see. P-Punch has 5 receivers. I don't know if he'll necessarily take one. He takes Pollard there, so it makes sense. I'm happy to sprinkle in some Myers. I take a ton of Golden and Reed. And so that probably keeps me a little bit lower on Myers, but there's no doubt that he's going to be their top wide receiver and most likely their second, target earner behind Bowers. And then I'm not really thinking that Jack Betch or Thornton are going to come and take targets away from Myers at all, really.
So the weird thing is I really like Beck as a player, but I
Right.
don't think he fits what Geno does well.
That's a good point. And I think they want to play him in the slot, but that's where Jacoby
Mhm.
and Bowers are going to play. And so there's no room for him. He becomes a depth piece, which is kind of weird. They spent a second round pick on a guy they're not going to be able to get on the field.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is with Beck though, he kind of was kind of like a cast off guy his whole career. Like, I believe he started as a walk-on. I know he started as a tight end and just kind of earned his way onto the field just by being a dog. And so
Right.
maybe his NFL career will go like that as well, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen this season or especially the early part of this season.
I had this trivia question, and I don't remember if I can say it correctly anymore. But I'll just kind of toss it out there. And you might know the answer, but more receptions, Jack Betch last year or Dante Thornton in his entire collegiate career?
I would venture a guess that it's Beck because he was in that high volume TCU offense and Thornton was just a bomb guy at Tennessee.
I'll have to look it up, but what I remember the answer was it was Thornton by only 3. So
Oh, wow.
1 year of Beck versus 4 years of Thornton, and it's
Mhm.
that close.
Well, because just think about what I remember about Thornton. He was a guy that you played in college football DFS GPPs. Like, he was a guy that would catch you a bomb,
Yeah.
or maybe 2 bombs, but he was not a guy that was like a dependable part of that offense.
That's a good point. I mean, kind of a fun flyer. He's going super late in best ball draft. So he was getting steamed up. He was going a little bit high at one point, but now he's practically free again. You can get him in like the last 2 rounds a lot of times. We've got a 2-4-1 build with Gibbs, Walker, London, McMillan, Olave, Myers, and McBride. We're coming up on pick 91, and then after that, we're going to have pick, I think, 102.
Yeah. We don't really need a receiver, but I do like Josh Downs here.
We could do Downs. Would you want to do Kyler Murray and get the McBride stack all figured out?
Let's do that. Let's do that.
Okay. I just thought of it
Because
last second too.
Yeah, I'd forgotten we had McBride for a second there. The other thing I was thinking about was this is a strategy I've done a lot is when you kind of end up with these like misfit teams with no stacks at this point, Justin Fields is like my go-to quarterback.
I knew you were going to say that, and I would 100% agree. I've got 20% Justin Fields or just under that in Best Ball Mania alone.
He's just perfect for that type of team because he doesn't need a stacking partner because most of his points are with his legs, and he has a ton of weekly upside also because of his legs. And
True.
I know people are like, oh, well, what if he gets benched? Like, I don't think the Jets are benching him because I think the Jets are totally be content to be bad and then draft their quarterback next year.
I would agree. And, probably it's worse for the receivers on the Giants and worse for real life football. But Fields in fantasy football can just be an incredible piece to have.
Right.
So I take a good amount of him, even unstacked, like without Garrett Wilson. And you can get Mason Taylor late, so it's kind of a nice
yeah,
combo.
You can backstack him with Taylor and make that nice little QB tight end stack.
Yeah, and it's not even necessary. Like you said, it's just about the rushing upside, really.
So I was gonna pitch to you Travis Etienne in this next round, but he went.
Oh, did he? Okay.
Yeah. Now we probably need a running back, but that ADP value on Downs is kind of insane.
Yeah, if Downs is there, but we'll see. Yeah, P Punch gets some.
Yeah, that's a savvy move by Peanut Punch.
I like Scattaboo. Are you in or out on Scattaboo?
I am Scattaboo over Tracy. So
okay,
let's
me
do
too.
Scattaboo.
And then
I'm not, maybe this is a flaw of me to not do this, but I'm not touching Judkins right now.
Me either.
Like, there's just so much uncertainty that like I don't want to be I don't want to tie myself down to a guy who could fall much further than he could rise, if that makes sense.
I have him 25 picks higher than ADP, like or I guess lower than ADP. So I could even rank him lower than that. I'm just not drafting him until I get more clarity. Here's the thing.
Same.
You can't suspend somebody you haven't signed to a contract. They could literally never sign him to a contract.
Yeah. It's a kind of an unprecedented situation because like, especially with what it's happening with all the second round picks this year. But I just don't want any part of it. The last thing you want is just a total goose egg for the entire season.
Yeah, facts.
Although I will say, I think 2 years ago, it might have been last year, it might have been 2 years ago, Corey Davis, when he was a Jet, I drafted him as like a round 19 wide receiver as like a flyer on DraftKings, and I made it to a final of a best ball tournament with a dead zero the entire season because he
retired.
Yeah.
I remember that because I drafted him once too. Terrence Charles says, Mike, you're my go-to for college football DFS. Thank you. Very nice. There's a little shout out there.
Happy to have you here because Lord knows I'm ready for some college football to start. Very much looking forward to that season. And if you like college football DFS, give college best ball a shot. That's a recommendation because they're doing it on Underdog now. I've got some videos. I've got some strategy for it. Go give it a shot. I think you'll like it.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I did only a few of them last year, but my whole takeaway was it was so interesting. The players, the players that we were drafting for college best ball last year on Underdog, and then they're rookies now. I'm pretty sure it was guys like Phil Maffa and who else? Ollie Gordon, and those guys are going undrafted in these drafts now, and they're like the first round picks.
Ollie Gordon was the 1-1 last year in college football, and he was a massive disappointment because he was like a Heisman candidate in 2023, and last year totally fell off a cliff.
True. Would you consider Jared Goff here? We have a bye week 8 issue. He does stack with Gibbs. Otherwise, we'd be looking for another receiver like Coleman or maybe even Kirk.
I would probably wait on Goff.
Coleman or Spears or Kirk.
Let's go Coleman.
Yeah, we get some nice falling ADP value on Coleman, about 13 picks. So I like that there. And then I think
I'm not sold on Goff for this build because I believe
optional.
Because Murray has week 8, right?
Yes, they're both week 8 was kind of my hesitation. And then also we have Penix, we've got Young, we've got of course Geno Smith later. We've got a lot of outs. And also Geno Smith is a week 8 bye, so that's a little bit of a trap, but
Penix is about like probably a 12th round ADP, right?
You know, I should know off the top of my head. Typically, he would go in the 12th round. I would probably take him in the 11th with London to go ahead and bring him up and not risk it.
I like that idea, and that gives us the option that if we want to take a third quarterback, we could, but we could also stop with the two of them because we're right about Penix. We're not going to need a third quarterback.
Let me do some quick investigation. So Penix ADP, it was just saying 141. So it looks like he's kind of moved 141, 142. He's kind of moved around a little bit. That would be, we have 139. It could line up. Let's look to see where the Bijan drafter is. He's on our left. And then the Mooney drafter is on our right. And it's P. Nelly who only he's got Josh Allen, but he doesn't have a QB2 yet. So he'd have to pass on him twice. So maybe we just take him and make sure we got our guy.
I would be good to go ahead and take him.
And I'd like, I kind of like Christian Kirk. I kind of like Tajay Spears. I just don't think they add more to this team than having Drake London stacked.
Correct. 100%. It's one of those where if you're ranking them with no context, I would probably have it the same way you had it with Spears ahead. But for this build, it makes more sense to secure Penix.
Yeah. I mean, how many times are you going to end up in week 17 of Best Ball Mania and you've got London, but no Penix, and you're just like, it could work. But to me, it's that kind of same theory of like, when you have Jamar Chase, you probably want Joe Burrow to try to win in a large field tournament. The caveat would be you've got Drake London with Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson, or maybe you have Jamar Chase with one of the elite rushing upside QBs. That's really the only way. If that wide receiver is wide receiver 1 for the week, they're probably bringing the QB pretty far along. Maybe not all the way along, but pretty far along.
Well, and one other thing I noticed to this draft, if I'm not mistaken, the Jamar Chase drafter took Burrow at the end of the 4th.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. Yep. So he went ahead and secured his stack there. I've seen all kinds of differing strategies with that. I generally try to push it as much as I can with that Burrow stack. And ironically, it usually ends up being Kyler Murray that I end up getting as the starter.
Yes. That's kind of my backup plan. It depends for me. I used to think I wanted to push it more. I do push Burrow in some of the other tournaments, but for a Best Ball Mania, what it came down to for me is if I'm at the field average, I'll have 12 Jamar Chase teams. How many of those am I going to want to draft where I missed out on Burrow? I
Right.
definitely want to have Burrow more than half the time, so I'm going to push him less than half the time.
And I find myself looking at the board sometimes and being like, I'm not really sold on these guys at the 4 or 5 turn. This is one where I will take Burrow, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Tajay Spears is still there.
Yeah, let's do Spears. Like we were
Nice.
ready to take him last round.
I love that. I think he really fits this running back room nicely. And we saw what Spears could do with a slightly injured Tony Pollard at the end of the last season. He had some nice games, and he was doing it through the air. So an upgrade with Cam Ward, a better all-around Titans offense. I think Tajay Spears, he's not only like a 1B, but he has standalone value and really nice contingent value.
100%, especially like it's what he did last year, right? Like the weeks where Pollard was out, he was a really, really good running back.
Yeah.
By the way, you know that they're ragging on you in the chat about not keeping up.
Yeah, I could have figured that. But that's what they get because they know what they're here for. They're coming for the player takes, the drafting, the best ball strategy, and we're delivering that at the highest level. And thanks for being here tonight, you guys. I'll catch up with the chat probably after this draft, but these 20-second clocks, man. And it's hard because I'm long-winded. I like to talk. I like to hear myself talk. And I also love to hear Mike's takes and his talks. Definite ball knower. Make sure you guys are subscribed here. Please hit the like on the stream and make sure you check out Mike's channel. He's putting out a ton of good content, not only for best ball, but for DFS across a number of sports, football, college football, golf. And so make sure you check out Mike if you're new to his content. I think you're going to like it. I'm a big fan myself. And yeah, we're coming back on the clock again. So chat, stay tuned for 30 minutes from now when I catch up, as you guys like to say. But pick 150 here.
So I would pitch to you Dylan Sampson, but I could also understand.
Oh, is he still there? And then Algier goes. Yeah, we could definitely do Sampson.
Yeah, I think that the receivers that I like right here, I think we could push, and I would feel pretty good about Sampson right here.
No doubt. Yeah, no, that's a smart move. Did you end up drafting any of those rookie and sophomore drafts?
I did not.
Okay.
I was on vacation last week, and if I'm not mistaken, the state I was in didn't have best ball, so all I was in was slows, which kind of sucked.
Where were you going? Were you on vacation?
South Carolina, Myrtle Beach, which is like
going to the beach. Love it.
Yeah, like I feel like if any of y'all that are watching live in North Carolina, for whatever reason, everybody who lives in North Carolina goes to Myrtle Beach for vacation, and it is very crowded.
Okay.
And I like Myrtle Beach.
Yeah.
But we need to stop as a society and make it less crowded.
That's so funny. I guess it's close. The closer you get to Florida, the sandier the beaches get, right?
Like when I was younger, you'd never believe this from the name of it, but Gulf Shores, Alabama.
Oh no, yeah, I've been
a really good vacation town.
Oh yeah, I love going to 40A is the highway they call it. That part of the Panhandle in Florida, Rosemary Beach, Seaside, Watercolor, the whole area, and then Gulf Shores, Alabama is right there. When I was in college, I didn't go on spring breaks. I would study and do extra things, but people I knew would go on spring breaks and they would go to Gulf Shores, Alabama, and then come back sunburned and missing car keys or shoes or their phone or something of some kind of story.
Too much time at the hangout.
But you wouldn't find me there. You'd find me in the library. A very good student. But no, Dylan Sampson, great pick in this range. We can talk more about him after we make this next pick for sure.
So I was gonna pitch Dobbs, but now I'd be cool if we went with Pitts here and secured that stack.
Yeah, that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Who was I thinking of? Oh, quarterback wise, we took T-Mac. I guess Young is not there. Young is drafted already.
Yeah.
So
I'll gladly trade getting McMillan stack to have Dylan Sampson though. I think Sampson's stock is rising, and I'd rather have that than have taken Bryce Young, even if Bryce Young was available.
Yeah, Bryce Young went before, so I realized it and then I forgot it again. So you're cool with Pitts here, or is there anyone else we should get?
Let's do the Pitts stack now, and then I think our priority probably needs to be finding a receiver, and I think we might be done at running back.
Yeah, these running backs feel good. So yeah, the whole bet on Samson is how high can he go? What's your take on Samson last year when he was at Tennessee?
So I was a big draft Samson in college football best ball guy last year. Like I was putting my stamp on him in the preseason because the Tennessee offense just creates explosive runs. He is an explosive runner. He's really good at running inside zone. Like it's what he did at Tennessee. Like every down was it's just going to be inside zone with an RPO, inside zone with an RPO. And if the Browns know that and build an offense around that, he's a guy that's going to create explosive plays and he's going to be a productive NFL runner.
That makes sense to me.
He's to the point where like last year at Tennessee, teams would know that, hey, they're running inside zone and he would still be ripping off 70-yard runs.
I guess my only hesitation on him and why I wasn't clicking him more was just the fact that he might be behind Quinshon Judkins and or
100%.
Jerome Ford. But now it looks like a clearer path to just competing with Jerome Ford, who I think can hold a role in his own right and has proved to be pretty good in the NFL. But you think Samson's just kind of explosive and might have some big playability?
I think he's one of those guys that could be better in best ball.
Okay.
Because of how explosive he is.
So I put out 3 players that I don't mind in this range. I draft a ton of Alec Pierce, but you think we might need receivers or anyone else you want to get here?
Do you want to push Wilson one more round or do you want to try to add to that stack?
I'm not crazy about Wilson.
Let's go Douglas then. Let's go Douglas.
Okay. I think Douglas could be one of the top options for Drake May.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably him and Diggs and then Travion, hopefully.
I've actually been drafting Booty or Butte or however you say it.
I was too. I've got a little bit. I don't have a ton lately, but I thought Butte was pretty good. I've got 3% in Best Ball Mania, so I've drafted him twice. And then in the pre-NFL draft, I was taking him a little bit more. That's because that's before Diggs had signed there. I was taking Butte a good amount.
Well, and another thing too, if you draft May without a stacking partner, then it's real easy to scoop up Douglas and Henry and Booty on your way out the door.
I've even told people you can draft Mac Hollins. I think he's viable if you're like, okay, I'm just going to take a dart throw at a New England wide receiver. They're all as good. The only one I wouldn't really draft is Bourne because I think we've kind of already seen his career peak. And I'd want to go for Mac Hollins. Yes, he's older too, but he's been a guy that can kind of score well in certain weeks.
Mac Hollins has found his way onto the field for every NFL team he's played for because he is a good blocker and he runs good routes. And coaching staffs love that.
Yeah, the blocking for sure.
Like if you're going to be on the field, you can score fantasy points. You can't score fantasy points from the bench.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, that's a great. That might be a case for Jordan Whittington, who might be seeing some snaps for the Rams, or Tutu Atwell, maybe the deep threat, but can't really run block. And we know Witt can run block very well, and so
it's what he was known for at Texas,
right? So I think Witt could be a sneaky late round pick. Who, if Puka got injured, which he has been getting injured, could be like a night. He'd probably fill in that role.
I feel like he had a game or two last year where both Kupp and Puka were out, where he had a few nice performances.
Would we want to grab Sam Darnold here to grab one of the last QBs, or just not worry about that? We do have Kenneth Walker, so it's also kind of a nice thing, but week 8 bye, or do you want to go Michael Wilson or Wandale?
Let's go Michael Wilson.
Yeah, let's go Michael Wilson, and then if Darnold's still there, we could kind of think about it a little bit longer.
Yeah, my thing is with the quarterbacks is like, if we're right about Penix, we're not going to need that third.
Right.
Now, would it be nice for safety? Yes. But if we're saying truly for upside, we think Penix is going to be that guy, then I don't know how much he actually helps us.
Yeah. Counter argument is, what if Penix doesn't miss the season, not like an ACL, but what if he rolls an ankle in week 12 and he's limited for 3 games, but then in week 16 and 17, he's 100%. But for 13, 14, 15,
you need another guy.
We need another. That's the only. So it's like, because quarterbacks do get injured. And I think last year we saw kind of a little bit of a reprieve from some of those injuries. But even if the guys don't miss time, they could be limited. They could be on the injury report. And I just think at the onesies, sometimes it can make sense. But no, I agree with you too. It's better to just hit the nuts and say, hey, what? It was Kyler Murray and Penix the whole time. They ping-ponged weeks. You never needed anyone else. But realistically, it's like, how lucky do we think we can get?
Well, here's the good news. He fell back to us, so let's take him.
Yeah, and listen, if we plan it out too, we've got 2 picks left, and I think our last pick's going to be our luxury pick. I don't know that we need another running back. Our team so far, it's Kyler Murray, Michael Penix, and Sam Darnold. We're definitely done with the QBs. The running back room, we don't have any bye week overlap after we took Gibbs and Walker. We've got Scattaboo, Spears at a great value, and Sampson, who we think is going to continue to rise, get opportunity. Wide receivers, we've got London, T-Mac, Olave Myers, Coleman, Douglas, Michael Wilson. So also we're really set up nicely there. Like we wouldn't necessarily have to take another receiver. Trey McBride and Pitts, you probably stop it with those 2. And I don't even know what tight ends are going to be there that we would love to have. Arroyo could be interesting. Did he just go though?
I think he got taken. Dang it, because that would have
went.
made a lot of sense after taking Darnold.
People have been snatching up Arroyo in the 16th and 17th rounds, where I still think he's probably best for an 18th round pick, but he'll probably get back there by next week once the hype kind of dies down.
Yeah, because it's, the funniest part about the best ball community is we so tend to overreact.
100%.
Like, and it's that way with like the season long scale too. Like, everybody was 0 RB, 0 RB, 0 RB 2 years ago. And then last year, 0 RB completely failed. And now you don't hear anybody talking about 0 RB. Like, it's just hilarious to me, like how everybody as a community, it's like you ever seen the meme with the picture of the plane where it gets shot? You know what I'm talking about?
No, the plane that gets shot?
Okay, so very quick explanation. I'll let you make.
We got to make this pick first, and then we'll figure it out.
What do you think about Ray?
I think he's a very viable piece.
I think like he's not a nothing on that offense. Like he started in the slot for them the entire season.
87 targets.
Yeah,
dude's on the field.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
So there was after in World War II, right? There was a study that was done on planes. And what they did was all these planes that came back from combat, they took a look at where these planes were shot at, right? And they recorded every spot that the planes were shot at. And so they started armoring those parts of the plane. Do you know what the problem with that is?
My first guess would be weight distribution, but I'm guessing they figured that out. So then it would just be the problem with reinforcing those spots.
You're overthinking it a little bit, but you're a smart man. So the
more guess. I gotta get this one right. Okay, let me think. The problem with reinforcing those spots would be. Okay, I give up. Heat.
They
drag.
were only looking at the planes that made it back.
Oh, there you go.
If the planes got shot in their propellers or the engine or the cockpit, obviously they weren't making it back. So they were missing an entire fatal flaw because the planes that were making it back weren't the ones that needed the extra armor. So I feel like a best ball community is like that, to where when 0 RB fails one year, all of a sudden the next year we're not doing 0 RB because it's what happened last year. And it's just this, ping pong of overreaction one way to another because of what worked and what didn't work a previous season.
That is an incredible analogy and explanation. I've never heard anyone kind of put it in that way, but we all know it to be true. Makes a ton of sense. I think that's really funny. And yeah, I do see some people in the chat, some of the guys that I'll draft with, they will rip some 0 RB teams, and I'll do some 0 RB teams as well. But I'm definitely doing a lot less than I did last year, where last year it was probably a quarter or a third of my teams. I think I'm a little bit more evenly spread, and I'm, there's the spirit of 0 RB. It doesn't even have to be 0 RB. Like you could take there's the variations, right? And we've
Yeah.
named some of the variations. So like a hero RB or like an anchor RB, where you might take Bijan or Gibbs, but then
And
not
then
take
wait.
another running back until
Yeah.
like round 10 or even like 8 or 9. That's technically still 0 RB just because you're filling out all the receivers in between an elite onesie with the QB or the tight end. I do that a bunch. But the true like sicko mode 0 RB where you just draft 5 or 6 straight receivers, maybe taking a break for like a tight end, like a Josh Allen or a McBride, or, that has kind of disappeared in most rooms. But look, you see it right here. Look at the 11 spot: Amon-Ra, BTJ, Terry McLaurin, Daniels, Zay Flowers. And then he does get Mixon at 6, but Jaden Reed at 7. So only one running back through his first 7 picks. That's about as close as you can get these days. And it still kind of looks good. It doesn't look bad.
He did it in a way that makes sense too, to where he got 3 elite receivers, one of which was stacked with an elite quarterback. Like,
Right.
if you're gonna do that type of build, you better get elite at quarterback and tight end, and he did that. I gotta say, that's kind of a nice way to do it. Like, really solid strategy there.
That's a really sick team in the 11 spot. I want to get you out of here because I know it's getting late, but I would love for you to give us one more quick run through of this team, and then I'll let you go and I'll catch up with the chat.
Yeah, so looking at what we did here this time, we started in the 6th spot, and we got our ideal target for number 6, which is Jahmyr Gibbs, which is a really good first-round pick because you're avoiding kind of that middling pool of first-round receivers that everybody kind of struggles to rank. Everybody kind of determines where they're at, whereas Gibbs has running back and 1 overall upside, and you can get him as the 3rd running back off the board. So after that Gibbs start, we were able to then load up at the receiver position by going with Drake London and Tedero McMillan, and then perfect timing.
I had to do it. I was trying to do it earlier. The draft was going way too fast. Didn't mean to cut off your incredible team review, but I had to get that clip in.
No, you timed it perfectly because that was like a nice little breaking point. Because after we got McMillan, or I'm sorry, I messed the order up. We got McBride at an incredible ADP value first off.
Yes.
So now we've got a combination of players that is very uncommon in terms of Gibbs, London, McBride. And we finished it up by getting some really solid wide receiver ones like McMillan, like Olave, like Myers. And so we not only have a strong tight end, but we have a strong receiver room, strong running back room with Gibbs, and we've added Kenneth Walker III. And then in terms of the quarterback room, we got McBride stacked, we got London stacked, and we added on Darnold with a great ADP value at the end.
Love it. And we didn't necessarily get a Rams piece. We probably could have taken like a Ferguson or a Corum at the end there if it made sense. We felt like it was better just to really stack out Michael Penix Jr. and the Falcons. We got McLeod, we got Ray McLeod, Kyle Pitts, and Drake London. And what will happen is, we don't necessarily have to have a Rams piece for that bring back in that Week 17 game against the Rams, but it's going to be Monday Night Football in Week 17 in Atlanta. And the Falcons, if they're one of the higher scoring teams that week, if this stack can carry us throughout the season and then be one of those teams you need in Week 17, then this Best Ball Mania entry, it's got a chance to live. And what I say, I love getting Falcons and Rams pieces on my Best Ball Mania teams, because what I always tell my guests, if this team is in Week 17, if we've made it through and we're close to the top of the leaderboard and there's some big money on the line,
we're
going to be buying tickets, flying to Atlanta and walking into that game and sweating it out in real life, watching the Falcons take on the Rams Monday Night Football Week 17 for the Best Ball Mania finish. So, maybe we can make it there, and then we'll go to South Carolina and celebrate on the beach when we win the $2 million, and we can split it, and it will be just the perfect time.
Right, Atlanta straight to Myrtle. That's not a bad drive. You can do that.
Yeah, yeah. Man, Mike, super fun to get some drafts in with you, and I think the second one, they're both looking really good. The second one, I'm pretty confident this draft will not get thrown out. We had a good
Yeah,
room.
there's no reason to throw this one out. The
Yeah.
first one, there's some reasons.
So I'll keep an eye on that. I'll let you know if I get an email from Underdog that we lost one of our drafts, but we at least got this one in. So I'm super excited. And yeah, man, great to have you on. We'll have to do it again soon. I know it's getting late on your end. So if you need to hop, I'm happy to let you go. Otherwise, I'm just going to catch up with the chat before I sign off. And before you go, though, I'd love for you just to, again, tell everyone in the chat your channel, what you got going on, and your plans for the rest of this summer.
Yeah, so the YouTube channel and the Twitter is all on the same. It's Mike's Money Picks. What we do is just a bunch of DFS and best ball for a ton of different sports, not only NFL, but also college football and golf, and then college basketball when that comes back around as well. And we're doing live streams with drafts. We're doing shows with, picks and previews for DFS. My calling card for golf is that we tell you everything you need to know about the week's golf tournament in 30 minutes, which is not something that a lot of other people are doing. They're a little more long-winded. I try to make it efficient so that way, you can listen and get on about your life. But yeah, we've got a ton of stuff going on the rest of the summer. We've got some college football draft strategies and live drafts recently done. We've got some NFL drafts recently done. And before the summer ends, we're going to be doing more live streams, both NFL and college best ball. And then before you know it, the regular season is going to be here where we're going to be on almost every night talking college football and NFL.
Incredible. And you've got a Discord too.
Yes. Also hit me up if you want in the Discord, but it's called the Fantasy Corner. We got a bunch of really good people in there who play DFS for a ton of different sports. It's entirely free. It's just a great place to talk about strategies, talk about plays, and then sweat it out together. And we have a lot of fun.
Awesome. If you've got to run, if you need to go, I know it's getting late on the East Coast. Feel free to hop off if you're going to go there.
Yeah,
otherwise,
I think that's what I'm probably going to do because it's
perfect.
It's tomorrow already.
Yeah. You're living in tomorrow. I'm still an hour behind, so I'm gonna be wrapping up soon. But man, great to have you on. We'll do it again soon. And yeah, man, good luck with your drafts. And
yes, thank you for having me on. We got to do it again. Had an absolute blast. And let me know how these two drafts go.
No doubt, your name's on them, and we'll be looking forward to following those throughout the season. All right, later, Mike. Whoo, fun drafts. But like I said, guys, those 20-second clocks, maybe I just need to step up my hosting skills a little bit. We're getting the reps in. We're working on it. Appreciate you guys being here. And as always, chilling with me, drafting with me. We had Peanut Punch in this one. Let me catch up with y'all. Let's see what we got going on. And sorry that we didn't answer your questions or get to it. I love getting Mike's insights. You guys can tell he's a super sharp drafter and fantasy and DFS analyst guy. He's living and drafting and building these teams and doing it all and following these sports. So I'd love to get his insights and his takes. If you don't already follow his content, make sure you do, because a lot of good stuff out there that he's putting out. Like he mentioned, let me catch up with y'all. I was scrolling through to see where I left off right around here, right around entering Best Ball Mania now, if you can believe that, if you're not surprised. Therapist says no BBM's just saying. Yeah, Peanut jumped in. Terrence was in here. How many weeks will Montgomery have to miss for Gibbs to be RB1? I think he could play every game and Gibbs could be RB1. It's similar argument to like how Bijan could be RB1 with Tyler Algier. But obviously, if either one of those RB2s goes down, the situation gets pretty nice for them. Yeah, the Gibbs London's fun. I like that. Atlanta needs to upgrade their 2. Keenan would go a long way for the offense. Mooney is a 3. Yeah, I love Mooney, though. I like Mooney and his profile as an explosive receiver, as a down-the-field threat. He doesn't really need a whole lot of targets either. I think Keenan could come in there and get some targets, though. Would definitely replace Ray McLeod in the slot at kind of that last pick we were talking about there. That makes a lot of sense. Yo, what up, Michael? Good evening. Thanks for being here. Hope your Tuesday's going well. We're doing some best ball mania drafts, and we did two. We did two tonight. That's what we're going to do. We're going to call after those two, but I want to catch up with y'all and just, and I appreciate y'all being here. Make sure you hit the like if you haven't already. Make sure you enter the poll. I'm going to close the poll now, and then as we scroll down, we'll see what we got into. 50, make sure you vote. I'm going to close it in 3, 2, 1. 52% Trey Harris, 48% Luther Burden. So it's still pretty close, actually very close. So that's cool. Getting a little bit of intel there, but you guys are definitely leaning Trey Harris, which is what Mike said he was leaning to. Yo, evening, Chris B. Appreciate you, my man. Hope you're doing well. Yep. Oh, you know, we've been making those stacks, making those week 17 correlations, getting it all going. We talked about a little Justin Fields. We were talking about him. Yo, Steph, thanks for stopping by. Appreciate you being here. Steph, you won't be able to see this till August, but good evening. See, this is why you got to join the circle. Be like Anthony, subscribe to the channel. He knows what's going on. He knows that I can't see the chat. I mean, I've got a monitor over here. I've got my computer over here. There's a lot going on. We're building the plane as we fly it, but I appreciate y'all being here and drafting with me and chatting it up. And Steph knows, but thank you for stopping by, Steph. Always good to see your name in the chat, and looking forward to your content coming out this year for our fabs and our waiver bids. Fabulous football article on Legendary Upside about high stakes blinded waiver bidding. It is some tricky stuff, and I'm looking forward to it because Hartman and I drafted that FFPC high stakes managed team that we did. We actually have Dylan Sampson on that one, so it's pretty sick. And we're going to need some help with our waiver ads. Yeah, I would say Chris is nailing it. There's a lot of good notes here. Stacking, the upside, the correlation, the sleepers. We're trying to do it all in every draft. Get our players that we like. Yeah, definitely we're going for the upside picks. You know, not necessarily the guys that were the guys we needed last year. We're trying to figure out who the guys we need this year. We've seen Omarion Hampton. Omarion Hampton in this draft, he ended up going pick 32. So we're seeing Hampton rising up, right? Definitely. Oh, got some 0 RB targets. I like that. So Spears for sure. I could see Jalen Warren, you know, Sacrilegious was on with Bindles and I, and he was making the case for Spears, or sorry, for Warren. Pacheco, I think, is a nice one. He's continued to rise. Ray Davis could have a big role, a good offense. Jalen Wright's a pretty intriguing name, another Tennessee running back. Mike was giving us some insights on Dylan Sampson and kind of his upside at Tennessee. Well, Jalen Wright played at Tennessee with Dylan Sampson and out-touched him, although he was the more senior running back. And then Marshawn Lloyd, I think, is kind of a fun one. I'm not drafting a ton of Marshawn Lloyd because of the injury scare, and I want to see it, but he could be intriguing. I'm definitely in on the Packers in general. Yeah, I think we'd already started our draft by the time. Yeah, we'd already started our draft by the time, Michael. So we'll have to catch you in another one tomorrow night. I'm going to be streaming tomorrow night. Tomorrow I've got Best Ball Jeopardy on the Fanspeak Network, 9:30 p.m. Central, going off against Bindle. So make sure you guys come out there, watch the Jeopardy show. Make sure you subscribe to the Fanspeak Network. They put out a ton of good content, best ball stuff too. And that's where I'll be tomorrow. And then I'll probably do one draft afterwards live here. Most likely. We'll see. We'll see how I'm feeling, how it's going. Ooh, some other good late sleepers. I don't love Deontay Johnson. I'm just kind of over having to figure that one out, but could be right. Some people like him. The Malik Washington, I don't know. Jalen Royal seems a little thin, but it could work. Those are some deep sleepers. Kendre Miller, I'm not sure. And then Sean Tucker, I think, is my favorite name on that list. Who Hames, what's up, brother? Saw Who Hames going live earlier. Always putting out good content in the middle of the afternoon. And a friend of the channel, he's been on. Disbanded, what's up, brother? Yeah, Puka. Hitting up barefoot. I think that's God, at that point we were talking about Talking about South Carolina. Barefoot. We were talking about beaches. Yeah. Mike is real solid. Love his content. Glad we could draft some. Yeah, Michael. I'm sorry, man. Mike's incredible. Mike's got great content. He knows ball. If you ever are interested in, of course, all the things he mentioned, but college football content, his NFL content, like the dude knows college football. You can tell he's a ball knower. But yeah, we'll do one. I'll definitely be doing more this week, but only 2 for tonight. It's getting late here as well. Gotta make sure I get some good rest for the week. Yes. Yeah. Peanut. Yeah. Mike. I mean, I'll say it again. I'll say it 1,000 times. Mike's great. And I've been enjoying his content for years. And so I'm glad that I can finally connect with him on stream and do some drafts, and we'll have him back again for sure. This summer, we've got plenty of time left. It's coming up quick, right? Best ball summer. It comes and it goes in the blink of an eye, and then it's the NFL season, and we're all going to be excited to watch the games. But it's the fun of drafting them together in the community, and all talking ball, talking player takes. That's what it's all about. Appreciate you being here, Peanut, Crispy, of course. The Carolina stacks, the playoff schedule, and the upside talent. I think so too, Michael. I've been drafting a decent amount of T-Mac in the Panthers. Devin Neal as a sleeper. He was pretty good at Kansas. I mean, he was going really high in this college best ball drafts last year, and everyone thought Devin Neal was going to be something. He didn't get a lot of draft capital, but on the Saints, could he be a guy? Definitely DJ Giddens. Yeah, Chris, DJ Giddens, if I'm looking at my pre-NFL draft best ball exposures, DJ Giddens was my highest running back rookie drafted, and then Hampton was my second. So I'm definitely in on them. I'm starting to worry that with Giddens, he doesn't have a lot of draft capital. He ends up behind Jonathan Taylor, but like I was saying earlier, the flip side of that is Jonathan Taylor has missed games in the past. Does that mean he'll miss games going forward? I don't know, but he's got injured in the past, and like you could see how having a nice RB2 could pay off and could be a good situation. Could pay off a little bit. But Coker is a playoff sleeper. I like Coker. The problem for me on Coker, I'll draft Coker. In fact, let me find my clip. I'd already closed out of my clips. Who? Jalen Coker?
Have you heard the nickname for your fans?
Yes, I have.
I'm just a cokehead, dude. Out of context, that's crazy, but I'm a cokehead.
It looks so blurry because that's from PPR Tyler's stream. I stole his clip, and I didn't ask for it. I just took it from one of his streams. Actually, it was from a Typho Tower stream that he was doing the background for. But yeah, funny clip. You guys all know PPR Tyler. You guys are all following him. Hey, shout out to PPR Tyler. Dude is going on Pete Overzet's show tomorrow at 1 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Eastern, I think. Tomorrow around lunchtime. PPR Tyler is going on the randomizer. How exciting. Incredible. Tyler, great friend of the channel. And obviously, he's the consecutive streamed draft legend. He's at like 175 or something days straight of streaming best ball drafts on his channel. So for some reason, if you guys are new here, make sure you're subscribed here. Make sure you're subscribed to Mike's Money Picks, our guest of the night. But if for some odd reason, and I don't know how this could be possible, but if you're not subscribed to PPR Tyler, you have to do it. You have to be subscribed to PPR. Friend of the channel, great guy. And he's going to be streaming with Pete tomorrow on Pete Overzet's channel. So that's exciting. Big stuff for him. Looking forward to that in the randomizer stream. And then it's been a while. We did a ballsy stream with PPR about 2.5 weeks ago. I think it was 2 weeks ago on this channel. So it hasn't been too long, but Tyler was coming on back in April and I think even May, early in the best ball season. We must have been drafting big boards together. And, he's always been coming around and drafting with us and putting out good content and stuff. So shout out to PPR having a big day tomorrow drafting with Pete Overzet. And then one other guy, I want to shout out Andrew from the League Fantasy Football. He was on our stream. He was a guest within the last month. He did a best ball draft with us. He does a lot of dynasty content, a lot of redraft content, and also best ball content. And he's been drafting best ball teams pretty much every Wednesday night for the last couple of weeks. And he does maybe 1 or 2 streams a week, live streams, but a ton of video content. And so you'll recognize for sure, if you're not already following him, you'll recognize him. You'll be like, oh, I've seen some of these videos for sure. But make sure you're following him too. Andrew, who I said was a guest on our channel earlier, he put out a video with Andy Holloway from the Ballers, the fantasy footballers, and very cool. I was watching, they did a mock draft for redraft together, and he put that out today. He recorded it, I think, last week, but when he was guesting on the channel, he told me that he was going to be recording with Andy Holloway behind the scenes, and I was like, damn, that's awesome. And so he finally put it out. Make sure you guys go watch his latest video. Maybe I'll just link it. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Yes. Okay. I got it. You guys, he's the League FFB on Twitter, of course. And he hasn't posted on, well, he's not, I guess he's not super, he has his own personal Twitter too. Maybe because he didn't post. Yeah, there it is. His own personal Twitter is the one I need. Okay, here it is. I'm going to share it here. Copy link. Make sure y'all, boom, go watch that. Go throw a like on it. Leave a comment. Support our boy, Andrew. He just did a stream. I think I just shared his Twitter. Was that a Twitter? Yeah, that was a Twitter link. Let me get the actual YouTube video link. Okay. This second link might be better. The second link might be better because it goes straight to YouTube. But hit this link, go over to Andrew's channel, the League FFB. Make sure you throw a like and a comment on his latest video. Support our friend and check it out because it was a fun mock draft, and always cool to see when our friends of the channel are doing big things with big content creators in the fantasy football space. So guys, support our homies. And then, yeah, y'all already know where to find Pete Overzet's stream. So be there tomorrow for the randomizer, where PPR Tyler's going to go on, and I'll be tuning in. I'll be listening. It's my lunch break. I'll be listening for sure. It's gonna be a fun time. Looking forward to it. What else we got? Talked about Giddens, Coker, taking some Coker, but I guess the long short is I like Thielen and T-Mac better. But Coker, maybe he upsets and takes over Leggette's role. Pat Bryant, I think is fun. I just worry about like how many snaps he's going to end up playing overall. That's way funnier now. Yeah, the PPR clip. Jalen Milroe is exciting. JT Bestball has been drafting a good amount of Milroe. Was one of his guys. Yes. Thanks for being here, Michael. Appreciate the kind words. Have a great night, everyone. Chris B as well. Always appreciate you, my friend. Awesome. Yeah, appreciate that. Thanks for being here, guys. More best ball drafts coming soon. I'll catch y'all in another draft. And peace. Have a great night. See y'all tomorrow. The Fanspeak Network tomorrow, 9:30 p.m. Eastern, for Best Ball Jeopardy against Bindles. He's going down.